Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Bobcat Corner. This is episode number 47 of Bobcat Corner. This is Stephen Vitt talking to you guys once again. And this is just going to be an audio recording with some visuals that I'm going to be sharing with you guys. And starting with the article that just came out on Yahoo Sports by Ross Dellenger, senior college football reporter, a few days ago on April 25th. Obviously, it was just an update on what was going on with the potential future format of the college football playoff, supposedly being in limbo, college sports brass still undecided on major issues. I will provide a link to this article down below in the description box so you guys can check it out for yourselves. I'm pretty sure most of you guys have already read this already. But for those of you who haven't, this would be a good chance for you guys to check it out. Anyway, let's just get to the article. Let's waste no time whatsoever. The opening paragraphs I'm just going to ignore because it just talks about all the fourth floor of gargantuan Texan resort, whatever. But anyway, let's get to these quote marks here. There was a lot of new learning. CFP Executive Director Rich Clark said they got to see the depth that committee members go to with the process, talking about the college football playoff selection committee, that group of people that go into a room and they supposedly decide who are the best teams, yada, yada, yada. They also gave us some feedback to help us think through how we can improve the committee. Let me stop right there already. One thing that you could do to improve the committee is to stop the biases that are involved with this committee. Until we get rid of biases within this committee is never going to improve, first and foremost. So I can see right through the crap with this quote from Rich Clark right away. But anyway, from this week's annual spring meetings, reading the article again, no decisions were made on the three most important questions of any future playoff format. Number one, how many teams are in the bracket? Number two, how are teams selected for the bracket? And number three, how are teams seated in the bracket? While the answers remain incomplete, the pathway to those answers is becoming more clear. And here's the list again. Number one, there continues to be a desire from both the commissioners and television partner ESPN to expand the bracket to at least 14 teams. Is 16 still on the table? Yes. And why wouldn't it be, in my opinion? Number two, leadership at the Big Ten and SEC. Here we go. The leagues that hold decision-making power on formats starting in 2026 continue to socialize a format that gives them more automatic qualifiers than any other conference. What's become known as a 4-4-2-2-1-1 format, granting four AQs to the top four finishers in both the SEC and Big Ten, two each to the ACC and Big 12, one to a group of six, and one at large in a 14-team model. To be clear, within the CFP meeting room, the Big Ten leadership has been most vocal about such a format, and that's by design. Number three, the selection committee needs an overhaul, or at the very least, some tweaks to their decision making process, specifically as it relates to the strength of schedule metric. Strength of schedule, which is a farce created by ESPN. Good job there. So, how will it all end? That's up to two conferences, says one high ranking college administrator. Yeah, and that's right there. That's part of the big problem here. That's up to two conferences. We're here trying to crown a national champion, and you're leaving it up to two specific conferences to decide how the format's going to go. How do you think this is all going to end out? How do you think this is all going to end up being, guys? Just saying. The fact that the SEC and Big Ten haven't ran through the multi-auto qualifier 4-4-2-2-1-1 format is telling. And it just goes into, I'm going to stop reading this. It's going to go into, is compromise afoot? Now, they talk about, possibly compromising with, certain metrics that we could use if we're not going to use automatic qualifiers, okay, you don't want automatic qualifiers. You don't have to have your 4-4-2-2-1-1 format. You can have certain stuff determine it, like TV ratings, supposedly, which I don't think is going to gain any traction whatsoever. And the format is expected to receive little to no serious traction, but at least it's something. Not much of anything, in my opinion. The stuff that I've heard lately, guys, these last few days, especially with this article, um, with how they're going to go about, how they think they're going to go about doing this, is pathetic. And I'm not going to go into another rant about this. I've already done that a few episodes ago, back on episode 39, the infamous rant episode there. So I'm not going to do it here. But I just have to shake my head when I read stuff like this. This is a waste of everybody's time, if we're all being honest. Yeah, it's a negotiating ploy, said one conference leader, skimming through this article very quickly here. Yeah, it is a negotiating ploy. A negotiating ploy just so the Big Ten and SEC can benefit and nobody else. That's what it is. Just being honest. And yeah, so when you read through this article, and I have read it thoroughly, guys, they can discuss all sorts of different formats all they want, and it's always going to lead to the same thing. Big Ten and SEC benefit mainly, and everybody else has to put up with it. That's the format. That's the proposed format at its core. So honestly, it's a big waste of time for everybody involved. And I do think eventually, within 5 to 10 years from now, if everything is still around intact, um, I just think there has to be a breakaway of some sort, multiple subdivisions where Big Ten and SEC can just do their own thing and everybody else can do their own thing as well. I think that's where this is going, if you ask me. Just an honest opinion, and that opinion of mine has not changed in a long time. So I'm going to give a shout out to John Kurtz, a guy who I have interviewed on my other series, Stephen Interviews You, episode 2. Go check that out if you haven't checked out the interview already. If you haven't checked out that interview already, just check it out. John Kurtz is a good guy. He reports a lot of good stuff about Big 12 conference and college football in general. And I'm just going to read a comment that I put out there, that I made on one of his latest videos, ESPN's latest plot to keep the Big 12 out of the playoff. Just a comment I wanted to put out here. This is what I wrote. And I'll probably share it in like a little screenshot on the video here. A completely asinine concept. The idea of factoring in TV ratings in order to determine which teams are worthy of getting into a postseason tournament defeats the entire purpose of playing regular season games. If you play in a conference that doesn't draw TV ratings, you won't get in 9 times out of 10. Next paragraph. TV executives have way too much power and influence over college sports. They need to start backing off. You can't tell anyone with a straight face that a 7-5 Big Ten or SEC team is a million times more worthy than an 11-1 or 10-2 American Athletic Conference or Conference USA team, for example, by giving the big boys play-in participation trophy games. And that's what they are, guys. These play-in games are just participation trophy games just so the big boys can feel better about themselves. That's it. Big Ten and SEC, they just feel better about themselves because they know they have guaranteed spots in a tournament that, let's be honest, at its core, they didn't really earn. And I know that's going to make a lot of people mad at me, but I don't care. Your team did not deserve it. If you go 7-5, your team did not deserve it. You didn't earn it. I don't care what conference. I don't care how powerful your conference is. You go 7-5, you don't deserve anything, in my opinion. Wins and losses have to matter at some point. Otherwise, you're not doing this to crown a real, quote unquote, national champion. You're just doing this to make ESPN and Fox happy. And that's part of the core, too. That's part of the core reasoning behind all this discussion about playoff format, is so TV executives can be happy about themselves, that they can feel better about themselves and why they're doing what they're doing with conference realignment and all that. and throw away all these millions of dollars at people. Might as well create new subdivisions via a breakaway if this is how we're handling this. Not much more to be said about that. I have to be brutally honest at some point, guys, because this is not long term, big picture. This is not the system that we should be going with. And I titled this episode The Problem with College Sports Governance for a reason, is because not just this article by Ross Dellenger that highlights this, but also the other things going on with the House settlement negotiations and how Judge Wilkin, Claudia Wilkin, she's like um, threatening all parties just to stop the entire deal altogether if they don't reach an agreement about roster limits for like a 2 week span of time. If 14 days go by and there's no changes, no significant changes to it, then the judge, she's just gonna like, cancel the whole thing. Which I don't think it's going to get to that point, if you ask me, but just the simple fact that we're here at this point is just ridiculous. Truly ridiculous, and again, asinine. But anyway, let's just get off that and let's just get to this. I want to share with you guys real fast two graphics that I've made recently, highlighting just basic ideas of mine. These are just ideas. It's not like they're going to go anywhere, but these are just ideas that I'd like to get your guys's takes on. Remember back in episode 43 of Bobcat Corner that I showed this graphic of competitive fairness point system. Well, I've updated it a little bit. I've tweaked it, gave it some more clarity. You'll especially see it in like the bottom part of this, uh, where I go into like spending tiers in theory, because you're hearing mumblings about, oh, there's going to be like more divisions of all these conferences, which there already are money wise, but not really officially. So there's like a spending tiers section down there. Tier 1, Big Ten and SEC. Tier 2, Big 12 and ACC. Tier 3, that's a Pac-12 and the rest of the group of 6 conferences. Tier 4, that's FCS and lower divisions. So I've also made it a point here after after posting episode 43, I gave it some thought about, the fact that Big Ten and especially SEC teams, they're not shy in scheduling FCS opponents. You see it all the time what they're doing. They do that to inflate their win-loss records, and that's obviously frowned upon, in my opinion, by people who really want to see competitive games. Big Ten and SEC teams are wasting their time if they schedule FCS opponents. They're completely wasting their time because it's not proving anything to the general public as to how good they are. And yeah, good for them. They're getting this scheduling agreement going between themselves, and that will help. But you got to get rid of these FCS games. You got to get rid of these games where you schedule FCS opponents because it really hurts your image overall. We're supposed to take you seriously as a national championship contender, and yet you're wasting your time with FCS opponents. You cannot have it both ways, guys. So that's part of the reason why I've made edits to this graphic, the competitive fairness point system. And again, guys, feel free to comment on this. I hope you guys are interested enough in commenting on this because I put a lot of time and effort into this. And I'm hoping that I made my point clear by listing all this. I'm not going to go through it again because I already did it on episode 43. But some of the tweaks are like, especially involving like the bottom one there, schedule a tier 4, aka FCS or lower opponent, 0 points. That's highlighted in bold for a reason. If if you do that, whether you're in the Big Ten, SEC, or any other conference, and you do that, you get no points. You are not gaining anything in this system, this proposed system that I put up here. Spending tier 4 schools don't abide by the competitive fairness point system rules. These games won't count for tier 1 to 3 schools, and that's the theory behind this concept. Um, yeah, it's just something that needs to be evaluated when you're dealing with how to measure, oh, who's really good at playing football. And that's really what it should be about, guys. It should not be about which conference you're in. If you're in the Big Ten, great. If you're in the SEC, great. But it should also mean something if you're in any other conference. So, visual representation here. Now, the two main metrics that you will see on the CFPS leaderboard as a concept here. Number one, the team's win-loss record. That's very straightforward. How many wins and losses do you have? That's first and foremost. And on the very next metric, the second most important metric of all of this is CFPS points. How many points under this system? Look at the bright green box here that shows uh, the entire thing here. How many points did you accumulate? Did you get throughout the course of a regular season? That's it. So in the event that we have like multiple 10-2, 9-3 teams, and like in a big traffic jam of ties, you can simply separate them by CFPS points. That's part of the concept too, so that we can have separation and that we don't need a committee full of, let's just say it, morons who don't know what they're doing, who just drink coffee and tell jokes. Really getting tired of that. I'd rather have something like this, a competitive fairness point system, where it's like, okay, teams know exactly what they need to do. They have a clear path. They know what they need to do to get up to the top of the leaderboard so that they can get a spot in a 16 team tournament under this format. And the only safe spot that you can get is that if you win your conference. And that's equally for all 10 conferences. And I know Big Ten and SEC officials are going to get really mad at me when they see this, but I don't care. If you win your conference, you should be acknowledged as such, and you should get a spot in the tournament. You should get a seat at the table. If you want to be ranked 10 as the 10th best conference champion, fine. But you should be there at the end of the day. That's my point. So I'm going to leave it up here for like one more minute for you guys to check out. But yeah, just take your time, pause the video even if you have to, just to read through this so you can really evaluate what's going on here. And again, preseason AP and coaches polls don't matter. They're abolished under this system. We need to get away from influence. We need to get away from the influence of sports media. They are a poison to this sport. They're a poison to sports in general because most of them don't know what they're talking about, if you ask me. AP polls are just ridiculous. Why are they still here? Especially if we're supposed to go by college football playoff rankings. Why are we still factoring in the AP polls? They should not even be here. Wins and losses must matter. Hello, at the end of the day, did you win? Did you lose? Put aside the fact that you play in a group of six conference or power conference. Did you win? Did you lose? That's that. That's how it should be. But of course, being logical is not really a factor these days, isn't it? But anyway, yeah, when you get to the college football playoff under this system, you just rank the 16 qualifying teams 1 to 16 and set up the tournament. Okay, tiebreakers if you need them, head-to-head matchups if they play each other, and conference win-loss records. That's it, just straight up. So yeah, let me know what you guys think about this system. I really want to get comments on this, whether good or bad comments, whether positive, negative. We got to move on to the next graphic here. I got to pull it up here. Here we go. Now this is like new football ideas. I got to get through this. Not going to be long-winded about this. These are just like random ideas. These are not like really set in stone. Oh, these are just ideas that I just whipped up on the fly. They may not go anywhere in the grand scheme of things, but 3-team football game. Now I know what you guys are thinking already, kind of rolling your eyes at going like, oh, what are you thinking about, Steven? Well, a round robin within a game. Now, this is just like a fun concept. It's not something that you have to use for conference championship situations, although you could, but you don't have to. Especially give more meaning to bowl games, in my opinion, if you want to make bowl games more relevant. But a round robin within a game, three teams play a total of 60 minutes each overall. Total length of this game between all three teams, 90 minutes. So in theory, you're having three teams play a complete game of football, just formatted in a different way. Instead of four quarters, it's three periods. First period, home team A versus road team B. Second period, road team B versus road team C. And then third period, it's road team C versus home team A. Basically a round robin kind of thing. So you don't need to change the football field shape. You don't need to do any of that. Same shape of football field. Just go with three teams and format it accordingly. 30 minutes here, 30 minutes there, 30 minutes, third period. There you go. And I know that it's kind of like different compared to what you normally see between two teams, but that's how you have to do it. Each team gets four timeouts, two coaches challenges for each period, intermissions between periods, half the length of halftime in theory. Overtime, if need be, if all three teams are tied, use the same A versus B versus C rotation for each possession, just as you saw here with each period. And only really used for bowl games, mainly, I think. But maybe for conference title games, honestly, I'd rather see something like this than playing games. But that's just me. Overall, I mean, either way, whether positive or negative, let me know what you guys think about that idea. I think it'd be fun, but I don't know how much traction it would get. Also, down here, bottom left, 2 to 5 point conversions. 2 point conversion is from the 2 yard line as usual. 3 point conversion from the 6 yard line. That's where you got to go to convert it from the 6 yard line. 4 point conversion, 10 yard line, which is some distance away. And then the 5 point conversion, 4 more yards tacked on. That's 14 yard line. You got to get it from the 14 yard line to get 5 more points. Now, this could potentially add more strategy to the game instead of, you know, if you're down by like, let's say you're down by 10 points. You're down by 10 points, and normally you would have to get a regular 7 point touchdown and then a field goal in order to tie the game. Well, you can just get it in one possession under this format. You get a regular 6 point touchdown, and then the point after the touchdown, we try to get multiple point conversion. You go for the 4 point conversion from the 10 yard line. If you get that, you get 10 points right there. That's the idea behind that. I know it's pretty radical. This idea is pretty radical to begin with, but also keep in mind that leagues such as the UFL, which honestly I'm skeptical of the value of the UFL as a whole, but the UFL is already experimenting with similar rules. Now, if you watch the UFL at any given point, you would see that they're doing this. And honestly, that's okay by me. I don't see the harm in trying something like this. And now, bottom right, knockout overtime. Now, overtime rules have been highly criticized over the years, ever so often. And there hasn't been a clear cut way to uh, have a real set of overtime rules. And here, instead of having a single possession of 4 downs and 10 yards to go in theory, how about you do this? Have like one extended drive, uh, one set of downs, seven downs, and 50 yards to go. Okay, you're going to start your possession from the 50-yard line midfield, but that's it. 7 downs to get 50 yards. See if you can do it. If you can, great. If not, oh well. First overtime, both teams can settle for field goals or 7 point touchdowns, regular touchdowns. Second overtime, no field goals are allowed at that point. You must go for touchdowns. Third overtime, you must go for touchdowns and 2 to 5 point conversions. Excuse me. Now, the idea behind this is that if we incorporate both the 2 to 5 point conversion idea and this knockout overtime, this is what you would do. The third overtime is that you have to go for the touchdown and you have to go for a 2 to 5 point conversion after that. Again, add strategy to the game. And after all that, if for some reason both teams are still tied after 3 overtimes, then guess what? The game ends in a tie. You might as well just reinstate tie games as a result. And that's not something I would particularly like to see, but if it happens, it happens. At least we had something set in stone. At least we had something set up so that we can have it be fair for both teams. So there you go. Yeah, I just wanted to get this episode out for you guys. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Please comment on these ideas that I've pitched with these graphics. This is Stephen Vitt reporting for Bobcat Corner. And yes, more news is on the way soon for the Ohio Bobcats football team as soon as I can do it. Thank you guys so much for your support. I really do appreciate it. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Please like this video, share it with your friends and family. And I'll be back soon with more content. Thank you so much. Bye.